You should be grateful men want me. She smirked after letting a coworker kiss her cheek. I said, "You're right," and left the party. By morning, I'd moved out. She called a week later. The coworker had a girlfriend the whole time. I said, "Guess you should be grateful I wanted you." Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. I didn't leave Vanessa because she slept with someone else. As far as I know, on the night I walked out, she hadn't technically broken her vows of exclusivity. I left because of a sentence. A single, arrogance-drenched sentence that cut through 3 years of relationship fog and showed me exactly what I was to her. I wasn't her partner. I was her audience, her safety net, and her financier, all wrapped into one convenient package she could ignore until the rent was due. To understand why I walked out of a crowded ballroom without saying a word, you have to understand Vanessa. She is, objectively, stunning. The kind of woman who stops conversation when she walks into a room. And she knows it. God, does she know it. For the first year of our relationship, that confidence was intoxicating. I felt lucky, the steady guy with the good engineering job who somehow landed the girl out of his league. But by year 3, the intoxication had worn off, leaving behind a nasty hangover. Vanessa's beauty wasn't just a trait, it was her entire personality. It was a currency she spent every single day to buy validation from strangers. She needed male attention like a plant needs sunlight. If a bartender didn't flirt with her, the service was terrible. If a guy at the gym didn't stare, she'd come home in a foul mood, claiming she looked gross today. I was the designated ego fluffer. My job was to tell her she was gorgeous, pay for the lifestyle that maintained that beauty, and then sit quietly in the corner while she farmed dopamine from other men. The issue wasn't just that she flirted. It was how she treated me when I brought it up. Use the Julian situation as the perfect example. Julian was a new hire in her department. Sales, obviously. Based on Vanessa's stories, Julian was the funniest, smartest, most charming man to ever walk the earth. Suddenly, our dinner conversations weren't about us. They were the Julian show. Julian said the funniest thing in the break room today. Julian thinks my presentation style is actually really unique. Julian said you sound like a very safe guy. He meant it as a compliment. Don't make a face. A week before the company party, I finally snapped. It was a Tuesday night. I had just finished paying the bills for the apartment, an apartment she insisted we rent because it was in a trendy area, even though my salary covered 90% of it. She was on the couch, giggling at her phone. "Who's that?" I asked, looking up from the laptop. "Just Julian," she said, not even looking away from the screen. "He's sending me memes about the boss. He's so bad." It's 10:30 at night. "Vanessa, do you think it's appropriate to be texting a single coworker this late?" She finally looked up, her eyes narrowing. It was the look she gave me whenever I tried to set a boundary, a mix of pity and disgust. "Oh my God, here we go," she groaned, tossing the phone onto the cushion. "Are you seriously doing this again?" "It's a meme, Mark. It's a joke. You're being so suffocating lately." "I'm not being suffocating. I'm asking for basic respect. You talk about this guy constantly. Now you're texting him while I'm sitting right here paying our rent." She stood up, walking over to the fridge to grab a sparkling water, shaking her head like she was dealing with a toddler. "You know what your problem is?" she said, popping the tab with an aggressive crack. "You have zero confidence. Julian is just friendly. He's a charismatic guy. People like him. People like me." "That's not the point," I said, keeping my voice calm, though my blood was starting to heat up. "The point is that you prioritize his attention over my comfort." She leaned against the counter, taking a slow sip, looking me up and down with a cold smirk. "Mark, look at me," she said, gesturing to her body. "I get hit on 10 times a day. If I wanted to cheat, I could have done it a long time ago. I'm with you, but I'm not going to stop being friendly just because you're insecure. You should be happy I'm popular. It makes you look good. Most guys would kill to have a girl that other men want. So I should be grateful?" I asked, the words tasting bitter. "Yeah," she said, turning off the kitchen light and walking toward the bedroom. "Honestly, you should be." I slept on the couch that night. Not because she told me to, but because I couldn't stand the heat radiating off her entitlement. I told myself it was just a rough patch. I told myself she was just stressed about work. I was wrong. She wasn't stressed. She was just done pretending to respect me. The annual holiday party for her marketing firm was held at the Ritz-Carlton. It was a black tie affair, the kind where the open bar serves top-shelf whiskey and the appetizers are unidentifiable tiny sculptures of food. I wore my tuxedo, one I'd bought specifically for these events because Vanessa hated rentals. She wore a backless emerald green dress that looked like it cost 2 months of rent. I knew, because I'd seen the credit card notification earlier that week. "You look beautiful," I said as we stepped out of the Uber. "I meant it." "I know," she said, checking her reflection in the darkened car window. "Let's just try to have fun tonight, okay? No pouting. No jealousy. Julian is going to be there, and I don't want you making things weird." "I won't make things weird," I promised. We walked in, and for the first 10 minutes, things were fine. We got drinks. We made small talk with her boss. But the moment Julian walked in, the energy shifted. He was exactly what I expected. Tall, overly groomed, wearing a suit that was a little too shiny and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. He scanned the room, locked eyes with Vanessa, and made a beeline for us. "Vanessa!" he boomed, ignoring me completely to pull her into a hug that lasted 3 seconds too long. "Stunning. Absolutely stunning. You're putting every other woman here to shame." She melted. Actually melted. Her posture changed, her voice went up an octave, and she physically turned her back to me to face him. "Stop it," she laughed, swatting his arm playfully. "You look okay too, I guess." "Just okay." He grinned, leaning in close. "I'll have to work harder then." Finally, he acknowledged me. "This the boyfriend?" "This is Mark," Vanessa said, glancing back at me for a split second before returning her gaze to Julian. "Mark. Nice to meet you." "Lucky man," Julian said, offering a limp hand before immediately turning back to Vanessa. "Come on, you have to come say hi to the team. They're by the bar." She didn't even ask. She just followed him. For the next hour, I was a ghost. I stood by the high-top tables, nursing a bourbon, watching my girlfriend work the room with another man. Julian had his hand on the small of her back as he guided her through the crowd. He whispered things in her ear that made her throw her head back and laugh. A laugh I hadn't heard in months. I wasn't the boyfriend. I was the coat rack. I checked my phone. 10:45 p.m. I decided I'd had enough. I wasn't going to cause a scene, but I was going to set a boundary. I finished my drink and walked over to where they were standing near the balcony doors. As I approached, I saw it. Julian leaned in, ostensibly to tell her something over the noise of the DJ, but he didn't pull back. He pressed his lips against her cheek, not a friendly peck, but a slow, lingering press right near her ear. His hand slid from her back to her waist, squeezing slightly. Vanessa didn't pull away. She leaned into it. She looked at him with hungry eyes, soaking up the validation like a drug. I walked right up to them. "Vanessa," I said. My voice was level but hard. She jumped slightly, like she'd forgotten I existed. "Oh, hey, what's up?" "We're leaving," I said. Julian chuckled, taking a sip of his drink. "Party's just getting started, buddy. Don't be a drag." "I'm not talking to you," I said to him, keeping my eyes on her. "Vanessa, get your coat. We are leaving. Now." The music seemed to dip for a second. People nearby turned to look. This was it, the moment she could choose. She could choose dignity, choose her partner, choose to respect the fact that her work husband was practically dry-humping her in public. Instead, her face twisted into a sneer. The mask dropped completely. "Are you serious right now?" she hissed, loud enough for the circle of people around us to hear. "You are embarrassing me." "You're embarrassing yourself," I shot back. "He's all over you, Vanessa. I'm done watching it." She stepped forward, getting right in my face, smelling of champagne and expensive perfume. Her eyes were cold, fueled by the alcohol and the adrenaline of an audience. "He is just having fun, Mark. Something you don't know how to do," she spat. "Stop being so insecure. It's pathetic." "I'm leaving," I repeated. "With or without you." She laughed. It was a cruel, sharp sound. She gestured to Julian, then to the crowd watching us. "God, you are so weak," she said, shaking her head. "You can't handle that I'm the center of attention. You know what? You should be grateful men want me. It raises your stock just to be seen with me. You should be thanking me, not dragging me out of here." The world seemed to stop spinning. I looked at her, really looked at her. I saw the entitlement, the cruelty, the absolute conviction that I was lucky just to be allowed to pay her bills and hold her purse while she auditioned for her next upgrade. The anger didn't explode. It evaporated. It was replaced by a profound, icy clarity. I felt nothing. No love. No jealousy. No sadness. Just the realization that I had wasted 3 years on a person who didn't exist. I reached into my pocket, pulled out the claim ticket for her coat, and dropped it into her open palm. "You're right," I said. Her smirk faltered for a second. She hadn't expected agreement. "What?" "You're right," I said again, my voice calm, almost cheerful. "I should be grateful. And I realized I don't want to be the guy holding the purse while you shop for something better." "Mark, don't be dramatic." She rolled her eyes, turning back to Julian. "He's just drunk." "I'm not drunk," I said. "And I'm not the boyfriend anymore." I turned to Julian. "She's all yours, man. Good luck. You're going to need a high credit limit." "Mark," she shrieked, the embarrassment finally hitting her as the crowd murmured. I didn't stop. I walked straight to the exit. I didn't look back. I opened the Uber app, but not to call a ride for two. I called a ride for one. I checked the time. 11:15 p.m. If I hurried, I could have my clothes, my computer, and the dog packed into my truck before she even realized I wasn't coming back. The disrespect was over. Now, the erasure began. The Uber ride home was the longest 20 minutes of my life. My phone buzzed twice. Texts from Vanessa. I didn't read them. I didn't need to. I knew they would be variations of "you're ruining the night" or "grow up." I unlocked the apartment door at 11:40 p.m. It was quiet. The only sound was the clicking of Buster's claws on the hardwood as my golden retriever trotted over to greet me. He looked sleepy, confused about why I was home early and alone. "Hey, buddy," I whispered, kneeling to bury my face in his fur. "We're going on a trip." I didn't smash plates. I didn't cut up her clothes. I didn't write a long, tear-stained letter explaining my feelings. I moved with the cold, mechanical efficiency of a man closing a failed business division. I grabbed 3 large suitcases from the closet. First, the essentials. My clothes. My laptop. My paperwork. Birth certificate, passport, the lease agreement with my name on it. Then, the emotional anchors. The framed photos of my family, leaving the ones of us face down on the counter. My books. The espresso machine I bought before we met. I worked in silence for 4 hours. By 3:30 a.m., the apartment looked like a smile with a missing tooth. The gaps were obvious. The empty side of the closet, the blank space on the bookshelf, the missing gaming console under the TV, but the structure remained. It was a visual representation of our relationship. I had filled the spaces, and she had just existed within them. The most important step was the financial kill switch. I sat at the kitchen island, opened my laptop, and logged into our banking portal. Joint checking. I transferred my half of the balance to my personal savings. Credit cards. I removed myself as an authorized user on the card she carried, the one she used for emergencies like emerald green dresses. Utilities. I scheduled a service transfer for the electricity and internet to end in 48 hours. Enough time for her to figure it out. Not enough time to be comfortable. At 4:15 a.m., I loaded the last box into my truck. I put Buster in the passenger seat. I walked back into the apartment one last time. I placed my key on the kitchen counter, right next to the empty bottle of wine she'd left out 2 days ago. No note. My absence was the message. I drove to a 24-hour motel on the outskirts of the city. I turned off my phone, fell onto the stiff mattress, and for the first time in 3 years, I slept without grinding my teeth. I didn't turn my phone back on until noon the next day. The notifications flooded in like a dam breaking. 47 missed calls. 63 texts. 11 a.m. Vanessa just woke up at Jessica's. Head hurts. Are you still pouting? I need a ride home. 11:45 a.m. Vanessa, where are you? Pick up the phone. 12:30 p.m. Vanessa, I'm at the apartment. Where's your stuff? Mark, this isn't funny. 12:45 p.m. Vanessa, did you take the dog? You can't just take the dog. 1:15 p.m. Vanessa, my card just got declined for Uber Eats. What the F*** did you do? Then came the voicemails. I listened to them on speaker while eating a vending machine sandwich. Voicemail 1. 1:30 p.m. Her voice was shrill, angry. Mark, you are being such a dramatic child. You moved out. Seriously? Because of a party? You need to come back right now and apologize. I am not dealing with this today. Voicemail 2. 3:45 p.m. Panic was setting in. Mark, the landlord just emailed me about the lease. He says you sent a notice of termination for your half? I can't afford this place alone. You know I can't. You can't just leave me high and dry like this. It's financial abuse. Voicemail 3. 8 p.m. The narrative shift. She was drunk again. You know what? Fine. Leave. You were holding me back anyway. Julian was right about you. You're weak. I don't need you. I have people who actually value me. Don't come crawling back when you realize what you lost. I didn't reply. I blocked her number. Then I blocked her Instagram, her Facebook, and her TikTok. I found a nice Airbnb with a fenced yard for Buster and prepaid for a month. I was a ghost. The first week of freedom was strange. It was quiet. My bank account stopped bleeding. I wasn't walking on eggshells, worried that my breathing was too loud or my choice of movie was boring. I went to work. I walked the dog. I started looking for a permanent condo. I felt lighter, like I'd dropped a heavy rucksack I hadn't realized I was carrying. I assumed Vanessa was doing what she always threatened to do, upgrading. In my head, she was probably already moving in with Julian, living the high-status life she claimed she deserved. I prepared myself for the eventual social media posts of them together, the soft launch of her new power couple status. But the universe, it turns out, has a wicked sense of humor. 10 days after the party, my phone rang. It was Dave, a guy from Vanessa's marketing department. Dave was a good guy, one of the few people in her orbit who seemed to see through the smoke and mirrors. Hey man, Dave said, his voice hushed like he was hiding in a supply closet. I know you guys split, and I know you probably don't want to hear about her, but holy sh*t. You need to know what's happening. I'm really not interested, Dave, I said, typing away at a spreadsheet. No, Mark. You don't understand, Dave laughed nervously. It's a massacre. You timed your exit perfectly. I stopped typing. What do you mean? So Monday morning, right? You're gone. Vanessa comes into work looking like a wreck. Puffy eyes, clearly hungover. She marches straight to Julian's desk. I took a sip of coffee. Let me guess. She wanted a shoulder to cry on. She wanted more than that, Dave said. Everyone in the bullpen could hear her. She was practically hanging off his cubicle wall. She tells him, loud enough for the whole floor to hear, that she finally dumped the dead weight and that she's free to grab drinks with him tonight. She was acting like they had this secret plan to be together. And Julian looked at her like she was a radioactive cockroach, Dave said. Mark, Julian has a fiancé. He's getting married in April. His fiancé is a lawyer. She was out of town during the party. I nearly choked on my coffee. You're kidding. Dead serious. Julian is a player, man. He flirts with everyone. He liked the attention Vanessa gave him. He liked that she boosted his ego, but he never had any intention of actually dating her. The second she became real and messy, he panicked. What did he say? He laughed at her, Dave said. He literally laughed. He told her, whoa, Vanessa, pump the brakes. We were just having workplace banter. I'm engaged. Don't make this weird. I closed my eyes, picturing the scene. The humiliation. The stock she thought was so high crashing to zero in seconds. It gets worse, Dave continued. She didn't take it well. She started screaming. She accused him of leading her on, said he kissed her at the party. Julian denied everything, called her delusional, and went straight to HR to file a harassment complaint to protect his own ass. They put Vanessa on administrative leave yesterday, pending an investigation. She lost her job? Probably going to. And since she was bragging about you paying the rent, word is she's getting evicted, too. She's been crashing on Jessica's couch, but Jessica is already sick of her crying. Wow, I said softly. She's been asking everyone for your new number, Mark, Dave warned. She's telling people she made a mistake, that she was confused, that Julian manipulated her. She's desperate. Thanks for the heads up, Dave, I said. If she asks, you haven't spoken to me. Understood. Enjoy the peace, brother. I hung up the phone. I sat there for a long time, staring at the blank wall of my Airbnb. You should be grateful men want me. That sentence echoed in my head. She had gambled everything on her own perceived value. She thought she was the prize. She thought I was the safety school she had settled for, and that Ivy League admission was just a formality. But she had misread the market. Julian didn't want her. He wanted an ego boost. The other men she flirted with didn't want her. They wanted a challenge. I was the only one who had actually wanted her. The person, not the accessory. I was the only one willing to put up with the bad days, the insecurities, the financial drain. And now that I was gone, she was learning the difference between attention and investment. I felt a vibration in my pocket. I pulled out my phone. It was a number I didn't recognize, but I knew who it was. She had borrowed a phone. I stared at the screen for a moment, debating whether to let it go to voicemail. But I realized I needed to close the loop. If I didn't answer, she'd keep hunting. I needed to become real to her one last time, just to make sure she understood I was never coming back. I slid my thumb across the screen. This is Mark. Mark. Her voice was small. Broken. Mark, it's me. Please don't hang up. I'm outside, she whispered into the phone. I'm at your office building. I saw your truck. Please, Mark. 5 minutes. I just need 5 minutes to explain. I looked out the window of my second-floor office. Sure enough, she was there. She was standing by the fountain in the courtyard, wearing a hoodie and leggings, a stark contrast to the red carpet glam of the night I left. 5 minutes, I said. Then I call security. I walked downstairs. I didn't feel my heart racing. I didn't feel the urge to run to her. I felt the same way I feel when I have to deal with a flat tire, annoyed, but pragmatic. When I pushed through the revolving doors, she looked up. The devastation was visible. The confidence, that armor she wore so arrogantly, was gone. Her eyes were red-rimmed. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun, and she looked smaller. She took a step toward me, reaching out as if to hug me. I took a step back, putting my hands in my pockets. Don't, I said. She froze, her hand hovering in the air before dropping to her side. Mark, I don't even know where to start. Start with why you're here, I said, and make it quick. I made a mistake, she choked out, the tears starting immediately. God, I made such a huge mistake. Julian, he's a monster, Mark. He lied to me. He made me feel like we had this special connection, like he really saw me. But he was just using me for an ego boost. He has a fiancée. Can you believe that? She looked at me with wide, pleading eyes, waiting for me to be outraged on her behalf, waiting for the white knight to step in and comfort the damsel. I know, I said. Dave told me. Then you know, she cried, seizing on that. You know he manipulated me. He took advantage of my kindness. I was just being friendly, and he twisted it. He didn't twist anything, Vanessa, I said calmly. He did exactly what you wanted. He gave you attention. He flirted. He validated you. That's what you live for, isn't it? No, that's not who I am. She stepped closer, her voice dropping to a desperate whisper. I realized something when he humiliated me. I realized that while I was chasing this cheap validation, I had something real at home. I had you. You never treated me like that. You loved me. She reached out again, this time grabbing my forearm. I looked down at her hand like it was a foreign object. I'm ready to come home, Mark, she said, trying to summon a smile. I'm ready to be the partner you wanted. I'll stop the flirting. I'll stop the games. I chose you. Julian means nothing. You're the one I want. I gently, but firmly, peeled her fingers off my arm. You didn't choose me, Vanessa, I said. You're only here because you got rejected. You tried a monkey branch to the next branch, but it snapped. Now you're on the ground, and you want me to pick you up. That's not true, she sobbed. I love you. Do you remember what you told me at the party? I asked. She wiped her nose, confused. What? You told me I should be grateful men want you. You said it raises my stock. She winced. I was drunk. I didn't mean, I thought about that a lot, I interrupted. And you were wrong. It doesn't raise my stock. It lowers it. Because a woman who needs that much attention from other men is a liability. It's like owning a car with no locks that anyone can take for a joyride. I'm not like that anymore. You are, I said. And here is the reality check you need. Julian didn't want you. He just wanted a turn. And now that he's done, and HR is done, and your friends are tired of the drama, you're looking for your safety net. I looked at my watch. Your 5 minutes are up. I turned to walk back to the building. Mark, she screamed, causing a few people on their lunch break to turn and stare. You can't do this. You can't just throw away 3 years. You're lucky I'm even asking to come back. Do you know how many guys would kill to be with me? I stopped. I turned around one last time. There it was. The entitlement. It was still there, buried under the tears, waiting to surface the moment she felt threatened. I smiled. It was a genuine smile of relief because I knew I was making the right decision. You're still doing it, I said, shaking my head. You still think you're the prize. But you're not the prize, Vanessa. You're just a girl standing on a sidewalk begging for a place to stay. She opened her mouth to argue, but I cut her off with the final truth. You told me I should be grateful you wanted me. Well, look at where we are. I'm happy. I'm free. And you're alone. I looked her dead in the eye. I guess you should be grateful I wanted you. Past tense. I walked through the revolving doors. I didn't look back to see her reaction. I didn't need to. It has been 6 months since that day in the courtyard. The fallout for Vanessa was exactly what you'd expect. The Julian incident at work didn't just get her suspended, it got her fired. It turns out companies don't like it when their employees cause drama that involves harassment claims and shouting matches in the bullpen. Without my income to subsidize her lifestyle, and without a job to pay for the basics, she couldn't keep the apartment. I heard from Dave that she had to move back in with her mother, a woman Vanessa had spent years criticizing for being toxic and controlling. The irony is palpable. She tried to reach out a few more times. A cryptic email here, a block number call there. I never responded. Eventually, she stopped. As for me, I bought a condo 3 months ago. It's not in the trendy neighborhood. It's in a quiet area near a park. It has a yard for Buster. Last weekend, I went to a friend's wedding. I went solo. I wore that same tuxedo I wore to the holiday party. At the reception, a woman named Sarah approached me. She was the groom's cousin. We talked for hours, about books, about travel, about dogs. She didn't look over my shoulder to see who else was watching. She didn't check her phone to see how many likes her selfie got. She was present. At one point, she smiled at me and said, "You seem really grounded. It's refreshing." I thought about Vanessa. I thought about the chaos, the constant need for validation, the feeling of being an accessory in my own life. Yeah, I told Sarah, taking a sip of my drink. I learned the hard way that peace is more valuable than prestige. I walked out of that relationship with my dignity intact. I didn't beg. I didn't fight for her. I simply recognized a bad investment and sold my shares. Vanessa was right about one thing. She taught me my worth. She taught me that I'm worth more than being a spectator to someone else's vanity. And for that lesson, and that lesson alone, I suppose I am grateful. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.